All right, all right, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody that's following online right now and also in the building, welcome to our session today. Today is Saturday. What's today? May 11th. It is approximately 1:45 p.m. We're about to get into some information right now. First, we're going to really break down phase one, phase two of winning in 2019 through forex, crypto, and of course with proper risk management is important. But without further ado, what I want to do right now is make sure you guys are in a quiet place. You got your pen, you got your paper, got some notes. I'm gonna go over some quick stuff we're gonna talk about today, which is gonna be some goal setting, time management, money management, of course, investing in education, retirement planning, some tax strategies, forex, cryptocurrency, private family banking, including insurance and healthcare as well. So definitely want to stay tuned for what we got to offer. So without further ado, we're going to get this ball rolling, and I'm going to welcome Mr. Jason Hanna on to the show right now so we can get this thing rolling and in tune.
Absolutely. So I'm going to have to probably use your mic unless you mute out.
Mic check. Yeah, let me use this.
Yeah, use my mic.
All right, so look, guys, let's jump right into it.
Cut your mic off?
Yeah.
How that sound?
There we go.
How the level good? All right, cool. So we are representing a group of individuals we like to call ourselves the Wealth Investors Network. Now, at first glance, that may sound a bit suspect to the degree that, the word wealth obviously sticks out. All right. But in our idea, there's a wealth of information, and collectively, our network will bring it together to help you become better investors, or we're investing in ourselves, this information. So that's kind of a side meeting, but basically what we like to do, like to help people, first of all, go from not knowing to knowing. What I mean by that is really to understand, I call it the money game in a sense, but also to have a fulfillment in many areas of their life. So, we're not claiming to be the experts, but what we do, we bring to the table what we are passionate about, and collectively we network with other people who have an area of expertise, and we bring it all together under a single umbrella, if that makes sense. And so some of the affiliations we have is a company, and several companies we have contracted with to provide the best of the best. And one of the avenues we have is Strong Point Financial, who are doing some incredible things in the market over the last 10 years, and really putting people in a position to be financially secure and lead generational wealth. Okay. And also, we connected with a company who, is doing some extraordinary things again, where they're connecting people with cash flow management, and then tax strategies that are huge. In the process to really becoming financially independent or financially free and even generational wealth, there's some stepping stones, some milestones you want to definitely get through. And one of the first ones we're going to be talking about briefly too is the tax strategies. Okay. And we put people in a position to free up cash flow with some very phenomenal tax strategies. And then with that cash flow, we'll show you how to generate additional income. And then also we'll show you how to secure that cash flow, how to secure the money, and really store it into vehicles that will produce a better return that's secure. And ultimately, guys, this ties into retirement planning. And I like to always bring to a point that retirement is not age contingency. It's really about cash flow. See, if you go to any insurance agent and they're going to ask you what your age is, right? And what's your roughly living expenses, and they're going to say, oh, you need $1.3 million to retire. You need $2 million to retire. It's usually some big number because they realize you got to account for inflation, the cost of living, and ultimately to maintain your lifestyle, it's going to get more expensive. And then the lifespans are really, really increasing too. But what you really need to understand that, accumulating $1 million is great. We're not against that. But cash flow, passive residual income is really the name of the game. I was fortunate to meet a huge real estate investor. And, he said he didn't have millions of dollars saved up, but his cash flow made him a multimillionaire. Okay. And so basically he's able to still live the life of someone who's wealthy without necessarily having the liquid there. Now he has it, but his point was to say that he has hundreds of rental properties across the world that he literally just oversees. He doesn't really do much of anything but collect a check. And so one of our other alliances, we're collaborating with a company who's just breached 6 years and helping people in over 120 countries. Millions of people's lives will be impacted in the next couple years. And we're excited because so far in the last less than 3 years, we went from 1,000 students in this program to now 100,000 people worldwide that has been impacted. Okay. So one thing that I like people to understand is that every end has a beginning. You have to see the beginning. You have to see the end from the beginning. And so having that vision of where you want to go, I like to relate this to a GPS. If you had a GPS to really take you to your destination, but you don't give it the instructions, you don't tell it where your destination is going to be, it won't take you nowhere. A lot of people are living life that way. They're kind of just in the car driving around, seeing what catch their eye. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times they taking exits and detours and getting rerouted, but they have no clear destination. So, in our workshop today, we're going to help people to really determine that. And so once their GPS is set, life becomes a lot easier because now their decision-making process is only contingent on whether it's going to take them closer to their vision or their goals or detour, right? Or distract them. And so I love it when you can get on the interstate and you have a destination set. You can go, 60, 70 miles an hour. Some people go 80 like they're bat out of hell, that they say. But everything around them really diminishes, And what I want you to understand is when you focus on your goals, the distraction starts to diminish, okay? And so we're actually on a campaign to win 2019, an acronym Wealth Investors Network, as you can see. It's right there. 2019 is about really establishing or educating, empowering, and enriching families to learn more about financial responsibility, but ultimately empower them to live the #1 lifestyle in the world, which I call financial freedom. All right. So, again, with phase 1, we was focusing on goal setting, time management, money management, budgeting, and investing in education. We're shifting now to give people more substance within the entrepreneurial business states, also within skill sets, managing relationships, not just business relationships, but personal relationships. Everybody heard the saying, happy wife, happy life, right? That goes both ways. And when it comes to relationships, those spouses will be a key ingredient to your success. It doesn't have to be the determining factor, but it can be still a key ingredient. And so, that's really important because there's different levels to that. And I like to touch on that real quickly since I brought it up. If you had a spouse or significant other that at least allow you to do what you do, they might not be in full support of, but they don't distract you from that. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. And so another level is for them to support you, which means, I like what you do what you do. If you need any help, let me know, kind of on standby, or, you got to take care of something business related. It's like, okay, go ahead, do you, instead of giving you the evil eye and mumbling under their breath. And then you have someone who can really assist you. Actually, the next level is accountability. So you may not have a spouse who say, to help you do what you do, but you may want to bring that significant other in to be your accountability partner and say, hey, look, hold me to this. I need to be here, here, and here at this amount of time. Why don't you hold me to it? And that's going to really be a driving force, and they can be in your corner, not so much as a critic, but more of a cheerleader. Okay, but then that support could shift gears all the way to really assisting you in that pursuit. Okay, so it didn't mean go out on a rabbit trail. But I think that was very, very important to understand that there's different levels to it. Some people feel like my significant other would just kind of get in the game with me. I can win, right? They all doing their own thing, and nothing wrong with that. But if I can get them on my team, boom, we can bring home the championship. But there's different levels to that, and ultimately, guys, it's about staying in your lane, but having that partner that's in agreement. And so we always talk about the cash flow. And what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna shift gears and pass the mic back over to Travis because we want to give y'all some content value. We're gonna be talking about the cash flow quadrant and tax strategies next. And this guy Travis, he kind of put me onto some stuff within the cash flow management and the tax correction strategies. And so I'm gonna just turn it over to him to really give y'all the goods with concerns to cash flow quadrant. So Mr. Jones, you go ahead and take it away. I'm gonna mute out.
Gotcha. All right, so real quick, y'all, if you haven't seen this before, this is some information that you're going to need to know before getting into any type of, to me, investing, retirement planning, banking, anything. You need to know kind of where you stand right now so you know where you need to go, but also where you came from, right? So when we talk about getting on the right side of money, we all know how to go to work and make money, right? Because that's what our public school system has conditioned us to do at a young age, right? They condition us to be obedient workers, right? To, go on break when we supposed to go on take our breaks, go to lunch, even if we're not hungry, to go home, after a day, everything is set by a certain time. Well, we don't have the time to actually, have the time with our families and the things we want to do because we're working 40 plus hours at a job that 85% of us hate going to, right? Which means there's over 100,000 people that actually hate going to their job. I was listening to Les Brown the other day. He said heart disease, right? Heart disease is kind of one of the biggest factors in deaths of Americans, right? A lot of people say it could come from, smoking cigarettes or not eating the right things in nature, but what is found is that human race is the only human race where there's actually a set time and day where 80+% of heart attacks happen, right? And it's actually Monday between 8 and 9 p.m. because people are dying because they really hate their jobs. It's crazy that the numbers say that in a recent study, and also coming from Mr. Les Brown, who is a credible person, I believe it to be true. Some people are truly dying, from their jobs. So it's important to say, okay, what is out there? What else can I do? What am I passionate about? Some people then say, hey, I don't want to be an employee. I want to go into business for myself. So now I'm self-employed, meaning I own my own job, right? I own my business, which still means I don't have any leverage, right? I have some more leeway. I can come and go as I please. I can go to lunch and I can close shop early if I choose to. But if I don't see clients or patients, if I'm a hairdresser, a barber, or a doctor, or a dentist, if I don't see patients and I don't see customers, guess what? I don't get paid, right? So we want to get into business ownership and investing, okay? This is where the 5% live. And the 5% control 95% of the wealth. The left side of the quadrant is where 95% of the population live, but only control 5% of the wealth. So business owners understand creating a system, which stands for saving yourself time, effort, and money, and having people work for you, right? And that's why the Donald Trumps of the world, the Jeff Bezos of the world, actually get these tax breaks. If you saw Amazon made over, $1 million, $1 trillion, didn't have to pay any taxes. And that's because they understand the tax codes, right? And we're waiting for our tax, our guru to walk in any minute now so we can really break down those 475 plus benefits that you have when having a home-based business or having a online business or a marketing business. You get access to those deductions because now you're creating employees for the government. So they're going to give you those deductions. That's really what it's all about. of course. But then the 1%ers, you know, that we've become now learning and earning in the largest financial market in the world, the foreign exchange market. We're learning how money can work for us. Okay. So basically we're able to put money into a system and then multiply that money, right? And that's really the end game, right? Because if your money is working for you, one thing I know about money is it doesn't take days off, right? It doesn't get sick, right? It doesn't talk back. That's one thing I love about it. It definitely doesn't talk back, you know, and it's constantly moving and working for you. Now, your money should be your biggest tool, or I would say your best employee on a month-to-month basis going into the future. So, you know, we want to go into what's next. You know, go ahead, go to the next slide for me, Jason, real quick.
I'll jump in real quick.
Absolutely.
So I know we're talking about the tax situation, but like I said, we actually got someone who does taxes for a living. He's actually going to tap in. He had a little situation, got delayed. He's going to be in here. And we're going to come back to that slide, talk about effective tax strategies. But with that, what we want to cover here at this segment, for those who are here, we're going to pull out our worksheet. We're going to actually tackle some of this stuff. And let me turn my camera on. Guys, you saw the slide, right? The vision, make it plain. The difference between the wealth and rich and the poor middle class is really what they're focused on. They're focused on their goals. And a lot of people think success is having a lot of money. Let's clear the air right now. Success, the best definition I heard, is the progressive realization of a worthy idea. So if your goal is to be a school teacher and you accomplish that in your own rights, you're successful. Okay. But again, it's a progressive realization. So if you become that school teacher, you hit that goal. What's your next goal? A lot of people, they set out to accomplish something in life. And once they arrive, they kind of just, you know, start to just be content and being comfortable with where they landed. And you have to always understand that goals should take you to another level. So on this worksheet, it has really, you know, what's your vision? What's your why? This is kind of you know, this may vary depending on where you are in life. Ultimately, you know, in the next 10 years, do you plan on being alive in the next 10 years? You know, let me ask you that question first. So despite your age, you know, 10, 15, 20 years from now, do you plan on being here? You know, if you're not, you know, if there's a situation that you know you're not, you know, apologize in advance. But ultimately, if you know you're going to be here, where do you want to be 10 years? Let's just say 10. You know, 10 years from now, what's your vision? You know, if you really haven't vividly wrote that out in details, you know, you're behind already. Okay. A lot of you guys already feel like you're 10 years behind from where you wanted to be in 2019. So where do you want to be? You know, and I know on the worksheet we only have 2 lines, but in general, you know, let's just say net worth. Write down what your net worth want to be. Where do you see yourself as far as happiness? You know, there's different categories. And then health. You know, where you want to be in your health? Do you want to be 10 pounds lighter? Do you want to be strong? You want to have a more better physique? You know, whatever that is for you, write the vision, make it plain. And then your why. Why do you want to be there? You know, is it because you'll feel better? Because to other people, it looked like you done did some things. You know, some people, they don't go to high school reunions because they know they ain't did nothing the last 10, 15, 20 years, right? So it's like, I don't want to entertain those questions. What you been up to? I'm still at Walmart telling everybody, say welcome. You know, they don't want to have that uncomfortable conversation, especially when they know somebody's pulling up in the Lambo or, you know, in a nice car and a nice suit. And they're movers and shakers, as they would say. So, you know, what's your vision? Where do you want to be and why? Why do you want to be there? You know, and I'm going to give you a hint, a clue in this area. You know, success without significance, I say, is a bit irrelevant. And all the time we hear about wealthy people, you know, we've seen the Robin Williams of the world, or, you know, these famous people who got money, and then they tragic situation occurs, you know, or they fall into the drugs or something of that nature. What happened? You know, maybe they didn't have that fulfillment because they didn't feel significant. You know, maybe they made everybody else smile and laugh, but inside they was always miserable. You know, was it contribute to maybe a bad childhood? Was it their health situation? Was it just not having that relationship with somebody that they feel like their life was worth living to another level? And so it could be many things to many people. Everybody's in different situations, but ultimately we kind of need to identify, why do we have these desires? What's the purpose, or who will we be significant to when these are accomplished, when we see these through? So let's move on to the goal side of things. There's actually 3 types of goals. There's A-type goals, B-type goals, and C-type goals. And just to really break that down real simple, the A-type goals are something that you know you can do. You just got to decide to do it. You know, that could be as easy as, you know what, I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. and, you know, I may do a 10-minute meditation session. You know, I know Anthony Robbins has a phenomenal, we call it priming session, first thing in the morning. I know we typically wake up and we grab our phones. Mm-hmm. I heard this joke, and it was bittersweet. It's like, you know, I want all my married couples especially to answer this question. You know, what's the first thing you look at when you wake up and the last thing you look at when you go to sleep? And the answer was your cell phone. You know, it was kind of shocking because it's actually true. If you think about it, you know, before you turn over and see if they still sleep, everything, okay, most of us, you know, I understand if your alarm is on your phone, but also we're looking at our phone, we're checking the notifications, we're seeing what's going on in the world before we go to bed and, you know, right when we wake up. So, you know, they're really just deciding to do something. That's the A-type goal. These are reachable, really easy goals. So it may be just your diet, you know, it may be just waking up a certain time, maybe just telling, you know, moving to a spirit of gratitude, telling people, I appreciate you, I thank you more, you know, some of that nature. That's going to really help to build you inside. And I think that's really important. But your B-type goals is something that's going to challenge you, something that you may need motivation for. And so I want you really to figure that out. What can it be a B-type goal for you? What can challenge you? And when we go into time management, it's really something that is important, but it's not urgent. You know, I'm not against education in the sense of growing yourself mentally and skill sets, but you got to get educated for the right reasons. But let's just say graduating college, that's important to the right person, but it's not necessarily urgent. You know, I graduated, I'm going to tell my age, I graduated the turn of the century right before Y2K. And, you know, I'm on Instagram yesterday and I see somebody I graduated high school with just graduated college. But that's phenomenal because they had a goal to get it done. And maybe it was a second degree, third, I don't know. I'm not that close to that person. But that was important. It may not have been urgent. You know, 20 years later after high school, it may not have been urgent, but it was important. Mm-hmm. So what's important in your life but not urgent? So these could be some B-type goals because we can always procrastinate and push aside things that are important because it's not urgent, and we always taking care of the urgent. All of a sudden, the important stuff, the deadline comes up, or we hit a point in our lives. It's like, man, I wish I would have, right. Wish I could have, and I should have. And so those are the B-type goals. C-type goals are those dream goals, those stretch goals, those, man, I want a mansion and a Lambo type goals. You know, they may be far-fetched, but ultimately, what this means is this is something you truly, truly desire. But you don't know how you're going to get it. But what this is going to require is a new set of skills, a new set of knowledge, hard work ethics. You know, it's going to require connections. It's going to require a network of people. And that's what we are. That's what we're here for, to really accomplish what you want in that. So you got A, B, and C-type goals. Now, our primary focus is financial. However, you can have A, B, and C-type goals in your health and your relationships, even at your job. Maybe you're at your job and you want a raise, or you want to move departments, or whatever that case may be. Maybe you retire. Maybe you want to say, you know what, I want to be able to put a insurance policy on my grandkids so they have something for the long run. You know, this can be A, B, and C-type goals depending on your financial situation. So you want to kind of have these for the different categories in your life. I don't have the slide for this, but I think Zig Ziglar has a very good circle or balance of It's a diagram that shows you the different categories in your life that you would definitely want to pay attention to, I would say. So that's the goal setting side. Now let's talk about money management real quick, because everybody heard the statement, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep.
Right.
Right? Because I know people, you know, doctors, not medical doctors, but have the doctor degree. You know, I know people who are upper management at $1 million corporations, earning 6 figures, nice house, nice car, but financially they're struggling. Like, and then you can meet somebody who's been at I'm gonna say Kmart. I know they're not around, but who's been at Kmart for 15 years. You know, they don't have any financial hardships. Mm-hmm. They're making 50, 60K a year for a family of 5, but their best friend's making 100,000. Ain't but him, his wife, and 1 child, and they always talking about money struggles. So, you know, when it comes down to money management, this is a system. I like to call it what to do with a dollar. Okay, so it's called what to do with a dollar, but it's a percentage-based money management system. The slideshows kick off, but I had a video. Let me get past that video. So it's called what to do with a dollar. While that video shows up, I'm gonna talk about it. What to do with a dollar. So the ideal is if you can handle $1, you can handle $1 appropriately. Should be able to handle $100. You know, I could think back when I was a child, I didn't have a job, and I can't even say we had allowance. I was the 5th of 10 kids. I can't even say we had an allowance. But for some reason, I feel like I always had a little money in my pocket. You know, I didn't have any uncles and aunts, grandparents locally that I could go by and they could toss you a couple of dollars. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, Uncle Junebug might give you that $1 every time he see you. I didn't have that. And so ultimately, I respected money, you know. And when you can handle $1, you can handle 100. You can handle 1,000, 1,000,000. You know, we always hear the stories of those people who won the lottery and all of a sudden the money's gone and they're flat broke and catching the bus, you know, or, you know, they just was frivolous with it. And it's not all their fault. I can blame some of it on their parents, but ultimately the system is set up. I say it this way, the system is set up to benefit the people who created the system, and you're not the beneficiary. And so basically, we're not taught to manage money. In microeconomics, I can remember in college, they called it disposable income. They said it was disposable income after your taxes. What do you think they wanted you to do with it?
Dispose of it.
Dispose of it.
Go out and buy.
Right? That's what they wanted you to do. Why? So you'd be in a financial bondage. And that really will allow them to control more, okay? So this percentage-based system, I know on the paper we have some acronyms or abbreviations, if you will. But I got this system, and I'm using it from T. Harv Eker. I'm going to give him the credit. He called it the JAR system. If you want to YouTube and look it up, be my guest. But ultimately, it's a percentage-based system, and these are the categories that he feels a well-balanced budget should be. Now, on the sheet, it says current status. Figure out if you make, let's say, average $1,000 a week. You know, we know some people make way more, some people make less. But let's say $1,000 a week, and you know, after you pay all your bills, you got like 50 cents left, or $1, or you know, $5, or maybe you have a couple hundred. So your necessity account is really where the majority of your money is where your bills are, your cost of living. And so we know most people are not in a situation where their cost of living is 50% of their income, but let that be a goal. Let that be a C-type goal or B-type goal, really, for you to get to this point. So this would be the ideal percentage level. Where you are at now, you know, you may not be in some form of religious organization where you give a tithe or offering, but maybe, you know, you can have something set aside that you always helping your cousin. Your cousin always need a little help with food or money. You're always giving them something, or you know, maybe your grandma, you know, she working hard all her life, and every once in a while you want to make sure she's straight. You know, right. You got grandma, here you go, boom, buy yourself something nice. whatever the case may be, whatever your thing is, if you have in your mindset that part of your income you're going to give away, it's a billionaire pledge going around right now. I think they have over a dozen billionaires signing it that they're going to contribute at least, I wouldn't say 50%, but I think it's more of their wealth, either while they're living or when they die, to charity or a nonprofit. A billionaire's pledge. And so if you have in mind that all your income, you're going to actually help other people, I believe God can bless you with more. See, a lot of people I run across, they say, you know, I ain't got to be rich. I ain't got to have $1 million. I just want to make sure my bills paid, my family straight. Mm-hmm. And I always challenge them to say, well, why are you so selfish? You know, not everybody's going to be in a fortunate position that you may be in. And not that saying you got to help everybody who got their hand out. But how many grandparents you know that you can help retire? You know, they weren't connected to the right group, in the right environments, the right people to understand how money works. And so they're forced to work all their lives. Or how many churches you can pay off mortgages for, or, you know, your parents help them to retire. So I challenge people in that area to just, why are you so selfish? Why don't you want to be rich? Because you're only thinking about yourself. You just don't know what money can do for you. Money's not everything, but they say it ranks up there with oxygen. Mm-hmm. It's helps you to live a lot easier. But long-term savings is like, you know, saving up for maybe that car, that house, that boat, that education, something that you know you have to put away and put away. So this is going to help you not to necessarily always go into debt when you want something. The long-term, I want a new car, so let me save for 3 years. See how much money I can save for 3 years. Now I had to go into debt for that car. And again, we talked about the necessity count, cost of living. Financial freedom, this is really your investments. So most people don't invest, and we're going to actually talk more about investing in a little bit. But most people, the number one reason why people don't invest is they don't want to lose any money. And it's really because they don't have any money to lose, or they can't afford to lose any money. That's why they don't want to lose any money. The second reason, I'm gonna hit it and get off of it, they just don't know what to invest in. They want the best deal. And so because they don't spend the time to find the best deal, they don't have any deals. You know, we always say oatmeal beats no meal, but they ain't eating nothing. So when it comes to financial freedom account, there's really a concept called the golden goose. This financial freedom account should always be growing. And actually, we're going to touch on that when it comes to private family banking. The Rothschilds, you're familiar with the name, you might not be familiar with the story. So the Rothschild, Mayor Rothschild, he obviously got into banking. I won't tell the whole story, but just to summarize it, when he decided to leave his money to his heirs, okay, he established a private family banking system, which means that everybody who wants to participate and have a part of that wealth, they had to follow these certain rules. And not to go over the whole rule system, but they had to meet once a year and account for their finances. So if you didn't want to meet once a year and account for your finances, guess what? You're not going to be a part of this family inheritance or wealth. The second thing is that any funds they needed, they can pull from the general account, but they have to pay it back. Now, if you think about that, if the general account is set up to grow in a financial instrument, and anybody who taps into it, they have to repay it with interest, as long as you're part of the family, then you have the ability, that general account should grow over time. So that's one of the concepts, and I'm going to talk more about it now, about private family banking system is instead of you, and the reason why, and we're going to touch on the tax situation in a second, but 30% on the average of a person's income goes to taxes. So think about that. You got 100% of your income, 30% automatically, boom, gone. You left with 70. Guess what? The other 30% for the average person goes to debt or interest that they have to pay. Let's do the math again. 100%, you take away the 30, you got 70, you take away another 30. You left with 40% of your income. That 40% is supposed to fall into these categories that you see before you. So now it's even harder than what you first thought it was going to be. And so, you know, in the sense, we help people to reduce the 230s, the tax liability in the debt situation. And I know we got some phenomenal people on the line who can talk more about business credit and the power behind that to really offset. And in fact, I'm gonna just throw in a plug for Velocity Banking. That in a sense is another process that we're going to be giving value to today for those who are with us. But let's move on because we do got quite a bit. But this money management system, back up real quick just to wrap this up. You know, whatever percentage you feel is necessary is your situation. So most people got a budget. You know, I know I paid my bills. You know, $100 go to this, that, and the other. That's a good budget. But if you have a percentage-based system, no matter your income, you can still adapt. See, if you're in a situation where you're making $100,000 and you lose your job and you find a job for $80,000, your living expenses is going to shift, right? It costs. You need to adapt to survive. So ultimately, you know, it's about really understanding the percentage-based system so you can always be in position to survive and adjust and not have to regroup. So education account, this is more of a long-term continual education, someone to the degree of, you know, learning how to do real estate, learning how to invest in stocks or forex. And, you know, we have some things in that area too. Maybe going to a Deepak Chopra seminar, you know, or Oprah Winfrey or Tony Robbins. We can name a bunch. You know, what's the guy's name? Maxwell. You know, that's your continual education. You need to have money set aside for that because that's going to help you grow internally, which will help you grow externally. And then contingency account. Again, these are a percentage-based system. We don't really plan to go into details of everything right now. I just kind of wanted to hit on some of the things that we're going to be talking about on an ongoing basis. So that's why the value of being connected to the Wealth Investors Network will really help you in the long run. So on the worksheet, like I said, you can kind of get an idea where your current situation is, but where you want to be in the future. What's your future budget? And this is a guideline right there. So you can write these percentages in on the second line just as a guideline, but ultimately you may be like, my budget, I set up what my $1 million income looks like. So I already know once the 7 figures annually starts to come in, what my percentage is going to be. I know what my current percentage is. I know what it's going to be at $100,000 per month. I know what it's going to be at $1 million per month. And it's just percentages. So all that I do is alter it roughly because I know if I had a 20,000 square foot house, you know, and I don't plan on having a mortgage, I know my utilities may be this much larger than where it's at now. Okay. So, you know, I'm going to get off of that. And let's see, let's talk about real quick. I'm going to finish this worksheet out right here with the time management side. And then after that, we're going to talk more about the investing. Okay. So time management. Time management. I like to really, I think this is one of the genesis to success, only because, you know, when you have the desire, it's the saying that says you plan your work and work your plan. Your plan needs to be part of your schedule. Otherwise, if you're going to try, I've heard it said plenty of times, don't try nothing. You know, trying is an excuse to fail. But if you look at it as 168 hours in a week, if you feel right now that you're busy, I don't give it the Martha syndrome for those who know what that is, overly occupied and distracted, then, but you're not in a place in life that you're satisfied with, that you're happy with, it's probably something that you need to change. So with 168 hours in a week, the average person may spend 8 hours a day sleeping. I don't know about you, but I don't know what that feels like. So that's what 56 hours a week is. 40 hours for the average person who's working a full-time job. Maybe you got 2 jobs. You know, maybe you're a manager and you're working 60 hours a week. You know, maybe you're just working part-time, whatever the case may be. But I guarantee you, if you're working 60 hours a week, you're not sleeping 56 hours a week either. But that kind of offsets each other. And then, you know, the prep time is your 35, but your goals, the average person can find 20 to 40 hours a week where they can pursue their goals. Your goal may be just one simple thing. Just, I want to grow my investment portfolio to $1 million. I feel like if I could do that while I'm still alive, then my life was worth living. And, you know, it's not just that, because I know family is important. Health is always important. But your goal may be one little thing, not little, but one single item that you want to accomplish. And so if you realize you have 20 hours a week to get that done, mentally, you know you got it. Where's it at physically? Because I don't know about you, the day seems like it goes by real fast when we're busy. But at the end of the day, you ever had that feeling, Travis, that what did I get done today?
Right.
I feel like I was just running back and forth, helping everybody, but I didn't get the things I felt was important for myself to get done, or I didn't feel like I made progress towards where I wanted to go. And so the first thing you got to do is literally write down. I don't think it's on the back of this sheet. I probably didn't print it. Write down what you're doing with your day. You have to document that. The easiest way to do that, I pull up Google Calendar and I document everything. I document when I'm expected to go to sleep and wake up. You know, when I'm expected to take care of household chores or things like that. And I think that's really important, because then when you can document your day, your life, and you can start off with your work schedule and your family obligation, your spiritual life, and you can find the gaps in your life that you can go ahead and get your goals and dreams done.
Yep.
All right. Let's say you work 10 hours a day and you sleep 16 hours right there out of 24, right? You know, you got to try when you got to eat. Let's just say worst case scenario, you got 1 hour a day to get it done, right? At the end of the week, you got 5 hours. Every single day, you should have on your calendar that 1 hour that is all about you. You should be selfish right then. I know Eric Thomas, he said he turns his phone off. He says he gets up, 3 or 4 in the morning, I believe. Mm-hmm. He said, my phone is off. I'm grinding. While everybody else sleeping, I'm grinding. I'm getting it done. I'm working out. I'm writing down what I need to write down. Focus on what I need to get done. I'm in the studio while everybody sleep. He said, that's me time. I'm selfish with that. He said, my wife know not to bother me. She know if it's an emergency, I'm there for her. My kids, they don't bother me. Like, you need to schedule that selfish time, because all day long, when that phone rings and somebody needs something, we answer and we're seeing what we can do for that person. These may be important people in your life, but they have their own life to live and you have your life to live. So you got to figure out when you're going to be selfish. That selfish time is like what you're going to schedule. So it's sometimes my wife say, listen, can you blah, blah, blah. I'm saying, well, I would love to, but I got something right here at this time, right here. Right? I would love to do it, but this is boom. And they got to kind of respect that, because they know outside of that time, you can handle things for them. But if they know that ahead of time, say, hey, honey, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday from 2 to 4, I'm offline. Mm-hmm. I'm getting it done. All right? Of course, you got to get it done. You can't just say that for years and show no fruit. But I just really wanted to overemphasize that the schedule. And I say it this way: if you document how you live in your life on a time basis, even if you ain't got a job to go to, you ain't got no real obligations. I know you got stuff you got to do. But even if you don't have that, just document the little things in life that you have to take care of, and then begin to orchestrate your life, plan out your life. But they say if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail.
Right.
So, if you need to get stuff done, put it in the schedule. And then I say this in closing. I'm going to turn it over to Travis or Justin, anybody here. Once you plan out your life that will reflect where you want to be, your goals, let your schedule be your boss. What does that mean, Jason? Well, the biggest problem in the entrepreneur space, and even in the investment space, nobody's going to make you do these things. Nobody. That's why we call it a job mentality, because your boss will say, listen, you be at work at 8, you eat at 12, and I'll let you go when I say time to go, but most likely it'll be around 4 or 5, right? And you may not like what you got to do, but guess what? You got to do it. So that's the employee mindset, that you do stuff because you kind of forced to. You have to do it to maintain that income. But when you allow your schedule to be the boss, you get to tell your boss what you want to do. Imagine if you had a job like that. You go to work. All right, Travis, what you want to do today? Well, I kind of want to do this at this time, this at this time. All right, well, make sure you do that. Exactly what you said you was going to do. So I had that mentality. Your schedule is your boss. Tell your boss what you want to do with your time, then make sure that you do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right, so hopefully you guys got a little value of that. And so on the time management side, I kind of have on the worksheet, really, your freedom time, our mission to win 2019 is that financial freedom element. And that could be you securing a cash flow of $5,000 a month. That'll take care of all your bills. Yeah, you're not going to be rich, but if I can get $5,000 a month coming in every month, then I'm financially free. That's our goal. So plan out how you're going to get that done. If you haven't already, you might want to refine it, but schedule everything out and let your schedule be your boss. Anybody got any questions with any of this material I just covered with time management, money management, and goal setting?
What I do want to add, I wish you guys can see this, and what we want to make sure, hopefully once we post this video, Jason will have a link. So if you wanted to download your own Wealth Investors Network vision and goal worksheet, as well as our survey, you have the links to it, because we have them live here as well.
They can come to our next meeting.
Yeah, and you can definitely come. What is the 25th, right? May 25th, we'll be at Meadowdale again, live and in color. I mean, you guys can see I'm taking crazy notes, and I'm co-hosting. So I'm still learning at this time. So that's just the impact I wanted to talk about right now. But we can.
Anybody else got any questions?
Questions? Cool.
Anybody in the room? Michael, you good? James? All right, cool. All right, so
hey Justin, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, we got any virtual guests? Any questions? Oh, my camera was off the whole time. You didn't tell me.
Yeah, it turned off. It was good. Man, it was good. We don't want to see that forehead.
All right, so for my guests on the line, I want Travis to talk about a little bit on the compounding, Rule 72, and our investment strategy, in a sense, how money works.
Gotcha. I like it. So while this is coming up, my Excel spreadsheet is coming up, and I'll be able to share it as well. Real quick. Okay, so we got the Rule of 72 already coming up. And basically what this is, a term that's been used to describe a method that calculates the number of years it's going to take to double an investment, triple an investment, and even possibly quadruple an investment, right? So it really just helps us traders, right, really stick to a game plan. And the reason why I like it, and I'm going to open up the one I have, is because it really allows me to set goals, right? It helps me with goals a little bit. And I actually want to, once it comes up, I want to share my screen here, because what I've kind of been doing the last few weeks with my account is growing it by 5% per week, right? And I want to explain that to it. But with what we have currently, mine is still loading. You guys can see, for example, right? Let's start at age 12. Here's your age. Let's look at 12%. Let's go to the 12% chart right away. So your money doubles at this point every 6 years. So at 29, you start off with $10,000 annually, right? Annually. Okay, this is on a yearly, 12% annually. So every 6 years, right? So what we're looking at is at 29, you have $10,000, right? Hopefully, my hope and prayer is that if you are of that age, that's the type of money that you actually may have. So by age 35, guess what? Your $10,000 have now doubled if you're looking at 12% annual growth. Okay, so it's going to take you at this point, as you can see, 6 years, right? Going on to age 41, age 47, age 53, 59, and 65. Okay, so what I want to do right now, I want to actually share. Let me go to share my screen so Jason, you can stop sharing yours real quick. All right, I'm gonna share mine's. All right, and I am going to bring up, where is it at? All right. Oh, I have you plugged in?
I'm gonna share this. I got you.
Yeah, go ahead and share me real quick. And I'm basically going to show you kind of where I'm at. And I'm only about 3 weeks in. How do we zoom? I'm trying to make sure I can zoom in. Bottom right. Oh, right there. Gotcha. All right, there we go. All right. All right, so basically my goal has been, I'm going to move this to 1% daily growth because this is on the day. Oh, didn't that one change? Boom, there we go. All right, so basically what I've been able to do the last 3 weeks is actually reach a goal of 5% per week. And once I hit my 5% goal per week, one strategy and one thing I want is to be important is that stop, right? You set your goal, right? We talk about writing down our vision, our goals. Once we hit that weekly goal, right, don't be greedy, right? Please, please, please do not be greedy. Do not try to over leverage. Because some people say, man, I made $10. Oh, man, I could have made 100, right? And guess what happens? When that mindset comes in, we all know kind of what really comes back to burn us, right? So I got my $35, right? And I went on about my way, right? And I could have said, you know what, that could have been $350. That could be, you know, I still got 2 more trading days. That could be $70, right? No, you stick to the plan and work the plan like we've just been talking about. So as you guys can see, after a week, which would be 5 trading days, right? My account that started at $1,000 is now $1,052. That's actually where my number was at here, 1,051.01. So just a little bit off, but percentages are the same, right? Week 2, right? Now I've basically grown my account by 10%. So now I have an extra $105 in my account. By week 3, which is 15 trading days, at this point, my account now is up $160 off a $1,000 account, right? So we just talked about gradually making 12% per year. You guys can see this was 15% done in less than a month.
So 1% per day. What is that on an annual basis?
On an annual basis, we can break that down. Let's see. So after 60 days, that's 1,800. So then let me change this to 1,800. All right. So now after 2 more months, we're at 3,200. Yeah, you probably got one that goes a long way. So basically after, if we just look at half a year, right? We're just looking at 6 months, that $1,000 account, if basically my plan goes as it should, my $1,000 account after 6 months should be almost a little less than $6K, right? You know, which I don't know about anybody, but $1,000 turning into $6,000. If you could do that, how many times would you try to do that, right? You know, it's just about making a plan. And I don't really want to be long-winded on it because we got my man Jaja in the building right now. And I know we going to get some tax strategies and stuff popping. I want to get him on with everybody
real quick,
who's live. Don't cut me off.
With that number, the reason why I brought that up is because we talked about the rule of 72, right? How long it takes to double your account. So at 1% daily, I want people to put that in perspective. If you had a 12%, where in this world, what bank instrument going to give you 12% if you give them even $1 million? Most people ain't got $1 million to give a bank to hold. I knew a guy, they got really excited because they moved almost $1 million, $900-something thousand to a credit union because they said, listen, we're going to give you 2.57%. They got excited and they moved all that money. Now, I wanted you to put this in perspective. That's why I cut you off, because if it takes 6 years to double $10,000 on 12% annually, what we're showing you, what Travis was just showing you, 1% daily, what does that really mean on an annual basis in comparison to? So I have on this spreadsheet, I don't know if they can see it on the Zoom, but roughly, like you said, just under $6,000 in 6 months from $1,000 at 1%.
Mm-hmm.
So we know if 1,000 was to 2,000, that's that 100% return. So if he gets to 6,000, that's safe to say about 600% return.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's in 6 months.
That's 6 months.
You said 600%.
600% growth.
Find that in the world. Nowhere. Now, matter of fact, you probably can't even find that within the solar system. Just to give them a little more far reach.
Right.
And I just wanted to bring that into perspective because people don't understand the magnitude of what this compounded sheet, even at 1%. I know people that's doing this sheet on a 5 and a 10% level daily. So I like to just sum it up, and I'm gonna toss the mic back. This is astronomical. Because that same number after a year, if 1,000 can turn to 10,000, that's 1,000% increase. So whatever your number is, if you start with 200 at 1% daily, you got 1,000% increase. You start with 500, 1,000% increase. You got 5 G's in the bank, 1,000%.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually come up short in this plan by 90% and still walk away with a good 100% return within a year.
Crazy. Right. That's if you fall short.
That's if you mess it up.
Mm-hmm.
If you mess up. And so, but the most important element, as he was talking about, he didn't really say risk management, but he talked about discipline, sticking to that goal and getting out the market. Okay. Go ahead, Travis.
Gotcha. Absolutely. So so that really breaks that down, for us right now. I don't know what you had. What's next on the plan for the day?
We can let the tax part go through.
Gotcha. So basically what I want to do, since Mr. Jaja has blessed us with his presence, first thing I want to do is hand him what I love to hand him, and that's one of these markers, and allow him to go to the board and just let him really do his thing. I enjoy the way he freestyles, but real quick, go ahead. I'm going to stop my share. I want Jason to share real quick. Basically about just a quick overview of the slideshow real quick. Let's see if it comes back up. Let's see you share. Let me see where your share at. You want to get your share on?
Yeah,
I'm out here sharing, man.
Slide up.
There I go. I look good.
They say beauty in the eyes of beholding. I'm just not beholding right now, buddy.
And you ain't got no eyes. That's what's wrong with you.
Some people ain't got no beholders. All right, Mr. Jaja, we like to call him our local tax expert. He's going to talk about the importance of the let me put it this way, a cash flow management system in tax correction.
So just that video you was talking
about?
Yeah, delete that. I don't even know why you got it up there. Scaring me.
I got a special laptop. This is what you want to see.
There we go.
Take the camera on.
I got to put the camera on him, man. There you go. Perfect.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. You can write on that one behind actually.
Yeah.
I want to make sure they can.
Oh yeah, I got you.
Yeah. You want to slide that table out, maybe? Just a little more.
Perfect.
All right. So, good.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
All right, cool.
Here you go.
Right. What's going on, everybody? What's going on with your man, JP Cash Show, the Cash Show King? Well, all I want to do is help you get your credit, your cash flow, and your financial confidence up so that the life that you are destined and blessed to live.
Come on.
Now, look, I am JP Cash Show, the Cash Flow King, not just because I've learned how to create cash flow. I'm also the Cash Flow King because I learned how to keep cash flow. Because one of the biggest things that's always guaranteed in life is taxes. Am I right?
Yep.
Besides death, you got taxes you're gonna have to pay.
Guaranteed.
But what if I showed you legally using the IRS tax code how to understand taxes and how to not pay them legally? See, the thing is, you can make all the money you want in the world, but if taxes kill you, how much money are you gonna have left?
Nothing.
Now they just talked about doing 600% growth on your $1,000 account. If you do 600% growth on $1,000 account, it means you have to pay 12%, approximately 12% taxes on that.
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to pay 12% taxes on your $6,000 account that just grew?
They got the capital gains.
Right.
Exactly. Who wants to pay that? Nobody.
Nobody.
So the one most important thing you must learn is you have to start to understand how taxes fully works. And the thing is, all the tax system is an incentive system. Once you start to understand how it is an incentive system, then at that point, you can actually take advantage of it, not get taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the biggest things we always teach, are they looking at this or are they looking at that on the screen?
We're looking at that and you. And
Okay, I just want to make sure they can see this.
Yeah, they
But,
can.
now,
small.
make sure you understand is everyone, most people we meet work a job. And when you work a job, you're a W-2 employee. Now, when you work your job, raise your hands. Who fills out a W-4 when you first start your job?
Everybody.
Everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, who fully understands what a W-4 actually is supposed to do?
Take your money.
That's basically how you see it.
I don't know. Not fully understand anyway.
But basically, a W-4 is basically the sheet that you fill out that you put the number of allowances to tell your job how much money they should take from your paycheck. Now, according to the IRS, 80% of people have their W-4 filled out wrong because they literally just follow HR and they say, oh, just put a 1 or put a 2 or put a 0. But the thing is, the less allowances you have on your W-4, the more money they take from you. Now, if you actually learn and read W-4, like what we teach, you can get to the point where you ain't paying no taxes on your check. How would your check look if you ain't have to pay federal income taxes?
Shoot, I don't like 5, 6.
Exactly. So if your check's going to be fatter because of you simply learning information and taking that and correcting something that you never knew about, how much happier would you be? How much more money would that bring your household? So now once you take that extra money and get it into your household, what we want you to do is we want you to take that money and start you doing what we call debt elimination. Because if you get an extra $600 a month back in your paycheck every single month, could you pay some credit cards off of that?
Absolutely.
Could you pay off your car loan? Could you pay off your house loan? Could you pay off everything?
Slowly.
How would it look? Let me ask this question. I asked somebody this question the other day. He jumped for joy. If I waved the wand and you were still working your job, but you was debt free, no house note, no car note, no credit card, you owe nobody no money, how would you feel?
A whole lot better. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't feel, I guess, the word attached. But some of us, I guess, we feel attached to the job because I have to pay off these student loans that I got, or that credit card, or to pay for this car that I got this loan for.
But now, only thing you owe is like your regular bills that can't be paid off.
Yeah, probably. I can make that happen.
Exactly.
You feel free.
Hmm?
You feel free.
Freedom.
You feel free.
Yeah, you feel free as a bird. So if I say, hey, let me teach you how to correct your W-4 according to IRS tax codes. Let me show you how to exactly do it. Because there's not only just basic stuff that's on there, but there's an extra thing that people don't know that's on there. Then let's say we take that money, eliminate that debt, get rid of all your debt. Then once we've eliminated that debt, then we take that money and we have a lifestyle. We invest to create a lifestyle. Like what we're talking about with forex. Take that extra money every single month, invest in it, drop $1,000 a month in there. You're growing at 12%, well, 1% daily. How much money do you think you're going to have at the end of the year if you're dropping $1,000 a month but you're growing at 1% daily?
Right.
You're going to be exponentially great. You're going to make your job income at home part-time. Now, in the middle of all that, the one thing we have to learn and understand when it comes back to taxes is write-offs. You have to, as a business owner, you have to know the difference between your tax code and the tax code I live in. The tax code I live in is the same tax code business owners live in. So, for example, do you know how many tax deductions you have as a non-business owner?
About 5.
Yeah, about 5. Do you know how many tax deductions I have as a business owner?
About 300, 400.
Or 4.
Like 475 plus tax deductions. That's just the tip of the iceberg. It's actually about 1,000, but you can't use all of them.
Right. You gotta be in certain states.
Yeah, you have to be practical. You can't go overboard unless you got like a really, really lawyer. You got a tax lawyer. That's when you can go crazy. Because actually, funny thing is, I met a guy. Who was it? Months ago, Mr. John Hire. He's gotten sued by the IRS about 735 times, and he's won 99% of the times.
Yeah,
He's literally my
on this.
Right.
Yeah, he's literally my mentor because he's literally gotten sued by IRS 735 times and won 99% of the time. Because every time they try to play, he literally plays them back.
Right.
Because he understands tax code.
Right. If you know the tax code, you just got the burden of proof.
Boom. Because they can't argue their own codes.
Right.
You can't. So what we're going to do is, since we have 475 tax deductions now, we're going to teach you how to write off everything. So the thing is, your lifestyle can become a business space. When I say lifestyle, I don't mean jet setting. I'm talking about you getting up every day, going to work, working all day, coming home, when you go out do things on the weekend, whenever you do anything can become a tax deduction. You just got to know how.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the first things we'll teach you is how to write off your car and truck on your taxes. The IRS allows you to write off 58 cents per mile. The average person drives 15,000 miles a year, or 12,000 miles a year. That's an automatic $6,000 deduction on your taxes for doing something you was already doing anyway.
Yeah, feel good too.
Automatic $6,000 deduction on your taxes. Have you done it everything yet? Your cell phone. You talk on your cell phone every day, texting, Facebook, doing everything with all your friends, right? Mm-hmm. Why not write it off because you're doing business on it? You can write off up to 85% of your cell phone. Travel. When you go out of town, this man travels more than I do. Like he traveled like I did last year. I slowed down, but he picked up. But every time I go out of town, every time you go out of town, let's say you go to DC for something. Let's say you went to Florida like you did, or any other place, you can write down all off on your taxes 100%. Your flights, your baggage fee, the car you had to rent to travel down there, the hotel, anything you pay for because of travels and because it's a business. He went out of town to go on business trips. See, I don't take vacations. I take business trips. I don't do vacations because vacations are tax deductible. But I can go somewhere, like I was just on the phone with one of my investors for my real estate company. And he was like, hey, I'm gonna take a trip down there in about a month or so, and we're gonna sit down and talk some business because he wants to invest in some stuff with me. Right. And I said, okay, well I'll make sure it's a business trip for you. So he's gonna come down here and he's gonna write off everything that he's gonna pay for down here on his taxes. And he lives in DC. And then one of the biggest ones is wages paid to your children. Now, a lot of people, they do allowances for their children to help their kids learn about money. That's cool. But what if I said that same allowance could be a tax deduction? Just by simply hiring your children into your business. You can literally hire your children into your business, pay them a wage, not an allowance, a wage of up to $12,000 a year, as long as they're under 17, and write off $12,000 a year on your taxes. Then, if you get a IRA set in their name, you can write off and contribute $5,000 a year to that IRA for them. You can write off an additional $5,000 on top of that.
Does that include grandchildren or just children?
Just children. Yeah, it's very specific. It has to be your children. It can't be nieces, nephews, grandchildren, none of that.
But also, like I said, this could be, so how, like say, I did want to do it for my grandchildren. I guess that's something I would need to teach my kids to also do.
Yeah,
my kids can do it for my grandchildren, but I just couldn't do it directly.
Yeah, you can't do it directly. Now, if your children were still underage, you can still do it, but you can't do it yourself if your children are too old.
Gotcha.
At that point, then any income they make is subject to taxes because they're too old. They're old enough to get taxed now.
Right. Gotcha.
The whole point of hiring them while they're young is because one, it's non-taxable to them. So when I say non-taxable, I mean they don't have to pay any of the same taxes that we all pay on our job.
Right.
None whatsoever. It's tax-free to them. Then we still get the tax-free deduction. Like when I hired my daughter for my business, and I was telling them, literally I had like a shirt made with my logo on it. And then what I did was I go somewhere like an event and I give her my business cards and I say, go have fun. And my daughter's a kind of a talkative person. She likes talking to people.
Yeah.
Unless she don't like you. But she like talking to people. You know how kids are. They know how to discern. So I was like, all right, go have fun. Now, I can pay her money for that day. I can pay her $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year. This is $1,000 a month, split it up. Pay her the money for that day. What happens to the money, literally, is I take it from this pocket, her wage, pass it through her, basically like a pass-through deduction, and get it over here because she gets paid and put it in this pocket. I still control the money. I just made it a tax deduction. So now, instead of getting taxed on all my money, I get taxed on none of my money. I've been in business for 3 years and never paid a dime in business taxes on any money I've ever made. Because I always go hard to make sure I don't owe any money.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure no one else wants to either.
Right.
Because you can make all the money you can in the world. But if the IRS taxes you, how much money you going to have left?
No, right. They're going to take it all.
Hmm?
They're going to take it all.
They're going to take it all.
Hey, JP, how much they going to leave you? Where he at? Let me see. Oh, he ain't paying attention. Yeah, he probably doing something.
Yeah, he probably.
He ain't gonna say not much. That's his
Yeah.
favorite slogan.
But I mean, that's just a little clip of what you can write off. You can write off your hair. You can write off your nails. You can write off your dog. If you have a dog, you can basically in a sense, hire your dog to work for your company, guarding your home office. And everything related to that dog becomes a business expense. I was telling people the other day, they didn't know you can actually write off buying a gun and getting certified to use that gun because it protects you from. There's a whole bunch of stuff. You can write off anything in the world. You just got to figure out how to do it. Now, there's 2 rules when it comes to this thing that I like to teach. And these are the rules the IRS says you have to follow. It has to be 2. You have to have an intent to make a profit. This comes straight from the IRS site. First and foremost, you have to have an attempt to make a profit. And when I say attempt to make a profit, you just got to try. You ain't got to make the money. You just got to try. As long as you show that you got at least something that shows that you're trying, they happy. So what I mean by try, I mean just get some business cards. Spend $15, get some business cards. And give them out if you want to. Go buy a flyer. Make a flyer for $10, $20 if you want to. Just something that shows that you're trying to be in business. Because you can't just say you're in business, you got to try to be in business.
Right.
So as long as you try, they'll say that you're a legitimate business.
I add something to that. It was something I heard I thought was pretty cool because he talked about the vehicle deal. He called it mapping. And it's acronym MAP, that you should always be marketing, advertising, or promoting.
Yep. So
your intent is, as long as you fall in one of those categories, marketing, advertising, or promoting. And, of course, the 4th element is you actually having that communication or prospect when you're talking about the business. As long as you're marketing, advertising, promoting, your intent is clear.
Exactly. And the thing is, as long as you have like some business cards, some flyers, something out there, or something that you're giving out, then they can't argue. Especially if you show the receipt, say, "Yeah, I bought some business cards and no one bought nothing from me." Oh well, I still tried that.
Right. It's the intent, like you said.
Exactly, it's that intent. The second rule, record keeping. You have to have good record keeping. Here's why. You can say you did $50 million in a year, like you Donald Trump, but you got to show the proof. You can't do the Trump move and just say make all the money, but you ain't show no proof.
Right.
But the IRS, you got to show proof. You got to show why you made the money and why you're discounting it. See, IRS ain't gonna issue with you saying, "Oh, I made $50 million," but they got to issue with you saying, "I made $50 million and I lost $50 million." They're gonna ask why, how.
Right.
So when I say record keeping, you got to keep records of your receipts, and you have to keep it organized. Paper receipts ain't gonna cut it no more, really, in a sense. You need to have. We have an app we use called the Cash Flow Manager. And the Cash Flow Manager allows you to take a picture of your receipt and put in all IRS required information, and use that for your tax return, and keep that forevermore. So that way, if anything ever happens, and IRS decides to audit you, and believe me, audits are random. They're not dedicated as much as they used to be. They're random now. But if they audit you, you can say, "Oh, here's my receipts," that you have it on your app. I got audited once. They showed up at my house. I showed them my cash flow manager, and they left in 5 minutes. I was like, "What you gonna get?" Like, here you go. I gave them that. I said, "Here's my proof." My cash flow manager showed every receipt that I had for that whole year. I had made a bunch of money, and I took a big loss on my business, and boom, they left. They couldn't do nothing because I had record keeping.
Right.
So as long as you do follow those 2 rules when it comes to taxes, you will always be able to write off anything you want to. So, like I said, you can write off all this stuff. You can write off anything you can think of. As long as you follow record keeping, attempt to make a profit, you are. And the thing is, you got to just start somewhere, baby steps. Understand it and learn it. It's a sensitive system. The reason why the IRS said gives you a tax deduction for buying a house, because they know that buying a house helps the economy. The reason the IRS gives you a tax incentive for getting married, give you a bigger standard deduction for getting married, because they realize getting married helps the economy. The reason they give you a child tax credit, because they know that having a child keeps the economy going. The reason they give you this is because they know that business owners are what create this economy in a sense. Because without small business, there is no business. You can have all the big corporations in the world, but without us on this smaller level, they have nobody to do business with.
Right.
So that's what the tax code can do for you. And understanding what we teach about taxes and how all of this works with your tax code, with what you do now, or what you can add on to what you're doing now, can take you to a whole nother level. So instead of you saying, "I can't afford it," you say, "How can I afford it now?"
Whole mind shift.
Any questions?
Good stuff, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, you on point.
All right. So we're gonna cover the next 30 minutes with the investing side, forex. And,
Gotcha.
I want to touch on briefly too.
Keep that up there. I'm about to use that. Yeah,
we had a question earlier about velocity banking, and it's actually coincides a little bit with what JP Moneybag. What you said, JP? Cash flow. I like that. I didn't know that the alias, but it coincides with that. And let me pull up the right slide. Basically, velocity banking. I got a slide for it. It's a debt reduction acceleration system. So a mouthful right there. But give me a second here. I'm gonna get the screen to the right position. So if you understand the type of loans, you got amortized loans, right? And you got simple interest loans. The shade on there. That's what I'm trying to get done. All right, so what if, how many people own a house or own a house before? Then you set up to pay what, first 15 years, mostly interest? Yep. Where it's set up. The average person refinance or buy a new house every 5-10 years. All right. So if that's the case, the first 15 years, we're paying mostly interest.
Yep.
Doesn't make sense to find something to help offset that, to build the equity faster, right? I'm gonna actually draw a diagram. The way the bank is set up, the bank is a business. In fact, the Federal Reserve is not even government related. All right. So off top, let's just understand that the banks are set up to make money. Right? It just so happen the product is money, unlike other businesses that set up to make money. But Velocity Banking gives you the ability to accelerate debt reduction. And this is a system I learned. Actually, I was breached with information probably about 18 years ago, almost 18 years ago. And I got involved in what was called a mortgage payment acceleration program. People probably heard items similar to that. But really what makes Velocity Banking different is it's not just for mortgages. Okay. And so here are some of the benefits. Again, just to pay off debt earlier and also to free up that cash flow. And so you have more money from less interest you're paying. All right. I'll show you how this works. What if, let's say you had income of $10,000 a month. I'm doing $10,000 a month because it's an easier number to do math with, right? When I pull out a calculator, be on standby. I don't look too dumb. All right, $10,000 your income, right? Let's say your mortgage is $1,000 a month, right? A $100,000 loan, okay? Let's say your car is $200 a month, right? Let's say that's a $20K. Right now you got $120,000 in debt, right? I'm gonna focus on those two. I know you got credit cards. Let's just do credit cards in general, right? Let's call that $5K. Total and per month. If you pay the minimum, they're gonna probably want $100, right?
Yeah, probably about 100.
So that way you never pay them off. Pay the minimum. Right now we got $1,300 in interest per month, right? 1,300, y'all follow me right there?
Yeah.
Per month of bills that have interest that's secured.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally thinking, let's say you had no taxes. I know you do this. You had no taxes to pay, no monthly expenses. How long should 10K take to pay off 125,000? How many times does that go into that?
12.5.
So if you had no taxes, no living expenses, you should pay off everything in 12 years. If that income was only associated for that.
Right.
All right. Roughly, I know it's not mathematically sound, but ideally, most people spend 30 years plus dealing with this situation. So the way it works is if you had an account, the first type was a HELOC. How many people know what that is? Home equity line of credit.
Yep.
Okay. So that's what I learned in the mortgage payment thing. But you can also use any line of credit that's revolving. Okay. Which means you can put money in, you can take money out. So, you know, typically you want to have something that will exceed your income. So you will want to have one that's at least 10K plus. Ideally is you will pump all your income into something that gives you simple interest. Okay? And what you would do, you would make bulk payments out of here to something that's amortized loan. Okay? I know this credit card might just be a higher interest rate because normally HELOCs you can get 3%.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, about 3 to 4%.
If you do something on a line of credit, obviously it's going to be more. But if you got a secure line of credit, it may be a lot less. But anyhow, ideally, if you was to pump your income let's say you make instead of making $1,000, you pay $5,000, right? Pay it out a year. So you got paid $10,000, $5,000. You put all $10,000 in here, right? After you made a $5,000 payment and you made, let's say, $2,000 here, that's $7,000, right? And then let's just say you pay the minimum for that because you focus on those first. Right now, when you know, like I know, when you pay $5,000 instead of $1,000 on your mortgage, you're cutting your life of that mortgage by a whole lot.
Yeah.
Right? But in effect, when you get that income, the only reason why we keep money in our savings case, we got things we got to take care of. We got some money to do it. Yeah. But that's what that line of credit is going to be for. You're going to have emergency funds or the living expenses you can pull from here. By you dumping your income into this and paying in bulk these, you have that safety net of needing money when you have to have it at the last minute. Okay? Y'all understand where I'm going with it. I don't have to draw out the whole illustration. Ultimately, that's what's called velocity banking. So what also entails, obviously, all of your debt, with your income and a strategy. We help people to come up with that strategy to maximize that payoff and reduction. Okay? There's actually software about 12 years ago. I got involved with a company. At that time, it was called You First Financial. That software, you actually plug in all your numbers, and it tells you, boom, do this now, do this now.
Yeah.
And this is
what we have now.
Right. It's software out there that does that, but this is dubbed velocity banking, but it's basically debt reduction acceleration through a process. Okay. So, if that's definitely something you want to know more about, then we got you. So that's the power and the leverage of being part of the Wealth Investors Network. Okay. So that's velocity banking. Now, private family banking, and I'm gonna go ahead and jump into this forex. Private family banking is, again, I talked about briefly, of having account instead of going to the bank for loans. You go to your account. So everybody knows when you got a 401, you got a retirement account, you can borrow from it.
Yep.
Now, what's the advantage of borrowing from yourself versus borrowing from the bank?
You get to pay yourself less interest.
Pay yourself less interest, keeping the money in house.
Right. Yep.
Right? So that's what private family banking is in a sense, but it entails you, instead of tapping into like a retirement account, it requires you to have growth inside a personal investment account. Right. That you can pull from. So we have some financial vehicles and instruments for that as well. But ultimately, let's say once you get your debt under control, you get your investment portfolio growing, you was able to, let's say in 10 years, grow $1 million portfolio. Let's say you take half of that, put that into a vehicle that will allow you to still have growth, but protected against no losses, but gives you the ability to access. Follow me?
Yeah.
You grew a portfolio, took half of it, you put inside an instrument that gives you growth with zero loss.
Right.
Gives you the ability to access this growth for paying yourself or to borrow against and paying yourself back in interest. Okay? So that's private family banking. We actually have instruments that allow you to do that. And you can actually grow this banking system to millions of dollars. So imagine if you could start a private, because I talked about the Rothschilds earlier. With that system he set up, they're known as the richest family in the world. Y'all know the heirs are to the thousands.
Yeah.
But their estimated net worth is in the trillions. Trillions. Reason why they ain't on Forbes list, because they ain't got their money tied up in the stock market where they can actually see what you got on a share level. They're one of the largest real estate owners in the world. They own banks, and so with that, if you set up a system like a private family banking
what that will allow you to do is to grow a net worth within your family, not just a personal net worth. Because we know what happened when second generation money come around. I mean, when second generation inheritance come around, it gets a little more, the net worth diminishes. And they said usually by the third or fourth, like the Vanderbilts. Vanderbilt had just as much money as Mayor Rothschild had at the time of the setup. But by the third, fourth generation, you couldn't find one millionaire in the Vanderbilt family. They didn't have a banking system, private banking system. So I want you to keep that concept in mind. Think about it. If you make income every year, why can't your net worth increase every year? Most people every year they file taxes there. The taxable income is usually around the same amount. Hopefully we're growing. But if you think about your personal net worth, that's your assets. That should be growing yearly. Okay. Well, like I said, I want to touch on velocity banking and private family banking real quick because I know that's on our survey. But let's dive into some investing education. I know in our group today we don't really have any amateurs, and I definitely wanted to tailor it to fit those who spend the time to come out here in the rain. I know online, if you're watching this live or recorded, you may or may not be at a point where you know what a pip is or a candlestick. Okay, let me apologize in advance. We're not going to be talking about that right now. Okay, definitely something you need to know. So bear with us for a little while. We want to talk a little more intermediate level and advanced level. So if you're in a position where you don't understand what a pip is and candlestick, definitely let's stay connected and let's get you that information. But bear with us for a moment because if you remember that spreadsheet that Travis shared with you, to experience 100% return, the only way you can get that is for you to learn how to invest your money. So that's what we want to talk about, investment strategy and whatever Travis got up his sleeve.
Cool. I got a lot up the sleeve. First, like you said, we're talking about forex, but really I want to talk about is the currency markets, right? You know, where we buy and sell these different currencies and cryptocurrencies without physically, you know, owning the asset ourselves. Okay. So first thing that I want to talk about is everybody probably seen what a stock chart or forex chart, anything looks like, right? Nothing simply just goes in one direction. You know, you see some things, you know, go different ways and do some, all right, just for example, right? But what I want to talk about in the simplest form is what we're going to call support and resistance. Or I want to call a floor and a ceiling, okay, right? Because I want to ask this one question, right? If you have a ball, right? Say we got a ball we can bounce. We bounce it off the floor, which direction does it go? Up, right? All right, so let's find our floor, okay? Okay, so this is going to be our floor. So basically what we've seen is patterns in the market. We see that the market kind of, anytime it hits this floor, it bounces up, right? Once it hits that floor. So what we want to identify is where's our floor, and we want to identify what was potentially at one point a ceiling, okay? Because once we found out, these are what I like to call this is an inadvertent teacup or a double bottom, right? Because we see it hit our floor twice, right? We see at first one point this was probably some resistance here, but boom, as we see it bounce up, we know this is now our new floor. So what we wait for, what I wait for potentially is to get another signal, you know, from my app that tells me, hey, it's now retesting your floor again. So guess what I do? This is where I enter my trades, right? All right, now it retests this. My wait is for the next candle. Why would you want to wait for the next candle when it hits that level? Anybody know?
Know what
No
direction.
confirmation.
Right, to know what direction, reconfirmation, right? Because just because it hit it, maybe it's going to go down here, Travis.
Break a retest.
Right? But guess what? When it breaks through and then my next candle is in that up direction, I now know it's going in that right direction. Now it does reconfirm and I enter that trade, right? So now, guess what? I was able to ride it all the way to here. Probably not. You know, I'm usually, if I can get between 10 and 50 pips, I'm good to go, right? That's my goal. I don't get greedy, right? But also you can do what we call as a trail stop, okay? And basically what that means is anytime, for example, once I get into 20 pips profits, I put my stop loss 10 pips in profit. So now I'm plus 20. So instead of my stop loss being here, the negative, I move it to about right here. So what that means at this point is if, for example, the chart, the time frame, whatever we're looking at, the cryptocurrency goes into the wrong direction, guess what? I'm still going to take plus 10 pips no matter what at this point. What we like to call risk-free trading, right? And it becomes more stress-free because no matter what at this point, I'm going to get something. And I know oatmeal is better than no meal. Come on, man. Oatmeal is way better than no meal, right?
That's plain.
Right, let's explain. You add some sugar, some apple, something, right? And that's in its simplest form. And that's really where, I like to tell, beginners, those who, maybe haven't traded in a while, trying to get back in the game, look at simple support and resistance, go through our educational back office, go back through our basics 1 through 4, and really understand that support and resistance, right? Or that floor and that ceiling, okay? So we just talked about the floor. Now let's talk about the ceiling, as I said before. Because usually when things hit the ceiling, they do what? They fall back down, right? So we see this happen. Oh, it hit our ceiling, it fell down. It hit our ceiling, but guess what? It did what? What is that called?
It was a winner. It busted through.
Right, it busted through. It was a breakout, right? So now, once it breaks out, now the ceiling becomes our what? Our floor, right? So I'm waiting for a retest, right? And then we see what happens. We see the retest. I wait for my double confirmation or that next candle to, okay, it hit it. Now I need to see that move in the direction. I enter the trade, okay? And basically, once you start to do that in the simplest form, you start to look at anything. So when people ask me, Travis, do you trade stocks? That's not my focus, but I can, right? With the broker I have, I know I actually made about 200, I did about 240 pips on Facebook. Shout out to my man Tidewater down there in the 757. I was messaging, he said, man, hey, I'm looking at Amazon. So I looked at my forex broker and I said, you know what? I can trade in Facebook and Amazon. Wow, I have access to it. So of course I put a trade in, a small trade, didn't want to leverage too much, but was able to make 240 pips in the market by trading Amazon, right? Facebook, right? So once you learn a chart, once you learn support and resistance, right, every chart looks the same, right? So stay connected if you want to understand pips, leverage, lot sizes, and things of that nature, and then developing and going into the support and resistance aspect of things, because this is really where it all starts, right? And they say you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So I know myself, this is kind of really why I always go back to. If there's a sense of self where, hey, I take a week or two where I really don't trade, I get disconnected, work is going on, kids, moving, got a wedding coming up, distractions happen, we fall off. So when I feel I do that, what I do most of the times? I go back to the basics, right? I revisit the basics, right? Nothing's wrong with revisiting the basics. Same things with weight loss, right? Every week I try to lose the same 10 pounds, right? I found myself starting over every week, right? I start off good. Next thing you know, I eat one chocolate chip cookie. Then I'm 15 chocolate chip cookies later. I'm like, oh, I done messed up, right? Then Monday I said, I'm going to do it again. Now I only ate 5 cookies this week. That's way better, right? Right. It's all about that progress, right? Understanding the vision, understanding where you are, and going to that next level. But really, it just starts with understanding the floor and understanding the ceiling. So I challenge everyone to, utilize, and I'm gonna give you some value right now, something free. Is where's the little joint? There you go. Something free. I want you guys to go to tradingview.com. Okay, that's free. Tradingview.com, and basically this allows you to get to any stock, any crypto, anything you want to learn to trade or just practice your support resistance. I would say even look at some YouTube videos. That could possibly be helpful. The only issue I have with YouTube videos is that they're all over the place. A lot of the times, right? And our educational system actually breaks it down from history to the participants, really breaks down everything forex and is recorded so you can go back to and go through the normal flow of things. Okay? But this is really where I want everyone to start. Yeah.
Do you ever tell them about the M and the W?
The M and the W?
Do you know that trick?
Tell me about it.
Oh, I'm going to show you this trick.
Tell me about it. Tell me. I don't know
Oh, this is a good trick.
It's
Oh,
my first day.
No, you don't know every day.
Today is my first day. Please
All
tell us.
right.
Yes,
So you
man.
got your support, your resistance,
Let me see. Let me back up so I can see quick.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You got something going on that's like this. If it becomes an M and you're at, it's starting here. And
Okay.
You see an M
Right.
starting to come right here?
Yep.
M stands for murder.
Oh.
What does murder mean? Murder is bad.
Murder is bad, right? You don't want
It's
to murder.
bad. It's going to go down.
Okay.
So you see an M developing in any manner, here, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The tendency, when you hit that resistance right there, when you hit that floor, it's going to go down. Just the opposite when you see a W.
Okay.
W is going to obviously go the opposite way. You're going to see something like this, coming up, coming back down, coming up here. What's it going to do? It's going to take off.
Right.
Yeah.
Because W stands for winner.
Winner. Okay. Winner, chicken dinner.
Winner. And because you can see it, like if it's just kind of muddling along in the middle and you don't really see anything, all of a sudden you'll see that M or that W and you'll see it and you'll know it's probably going to take off.
Okay.
And you can wait till it gets to that point about where is it, you know, it gets to here maybe,
Mm-hmm.
if you're right there, it'll get to that point and you can see if it breaks that point, you know it's going to go that way.
Keep going up.
Or if it breaks this point, you know it's going to go that way.
Nice.
Wow.
It happens all the time, constantly.
I like it.
So that's like a first confirmation.
That's guaranteed. That's almost guaranteed on that one.
I like it. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Y'all record that.
That's a good stuff. Oh yeah, we were recording all that. Hopefully y'all paying attention. That's some good stuff right there.
You got some experienced traders in the house.
Right, and that's all we doing is really trying to share the wealth. Like I said, it all came from just, first taking the initiative to say, hey, this is something I want to learn. That's really where it starts off, right? No matter where you get your education from, even though I know the number one in the world, I know what that is, but no matter where you get it from, it's all about taking that initiative first and getting to that next level, right? Any other tips and tricks, forex and pips that we want to talk about? Ooh, that rhyme. Anything? Because what I want to do, because I know we are running short on time, I quickly did want to talk about passive and residual income very, very briefly, and the power of three, right? And I don't know anybody else who could teach this better than Mr. Pinkston himself, right? When we talk about the power of three, what that does, because a lot of people shy away from residual and passive income. And I'm going to let him explain that to you. So, Mr. Pinkston,
I didn't even know I was going to be.
Oh,
You know how you do is people
You don't
come
know.
in, he's like, hey,
I was
you
at
right.
BE always ready.
Look what I did.
I was at BE always ready.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. I don't take that. But use that one.
So, power of three.
Power of three.
Oh, man. So, first of all, I would appreciate all the speakers and the experienced traders in the house. Mr. Jaja, I got to see you online. But the power of three, real quick, because I'm not sure how much time we have. But
We got about 10 minutes.
okay. So basically, all we're talking about is leverage, right? And so leverage is probably the most important thing when you look at the ability to multiply your efforts. That's all about leverage. Everybody understand that concept?
Mm-hmm.
The first documented billionaire we heard time and time again, J. Paul Getty. It was a movie made about I want to say a year ago, right? I didn't go too much into that story, but leverage, right? It's basically getting paid for other people's efforts, other people's time, other people's energy. Makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so, think about this for a second. If you're going to do this, if you're going to do work one time, doesn't it make sense to get paid continuously on that same effort, right? And we of course know the cash flow quadrant, ESBI, right? But when we talk about the power of three, we're talking about the B quad. Okay, and so a lot of times people shy away from from the conversation of leverage, from the conversation of really talking to people and sharing ideas and sharing just different things, right? And somebody tell me why you think that's so. Why people are shy away from just the whole concept of
I think rejection.
rejection, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's funny.
Rejection, right?
Right.
And that's valid, right? Rejection. Anybody else? That may be the number one reason, right?
Yeah.
Rejection, right? And so
Uncomfort.
uncomfort, right?
Comfort zone.
Right? Comfort zone. Right? And so I believe in my experience, like I dealt with both of these, right? When I first started, in the industry of network marketing or home-based business, whatever you want to call it. But I dealt with both of these. And I got to tell you guys, your comfort zone, you have the ability to change that, right? Your comfort zone, you have the ability to expand it. It's ever increasing if you want it to be. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. And so, rejection is also something that you have the ability to gain a better perception of it. It's how really there's a good book. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it. It's called Go for No, right? By Richard Fenton.
Yep.
And really, most people just have a different connection to the word no. When we're kids, when you go to the grocery store and your mom's like, before, at least my mom, before we got out of the car, she was like, go in the store, don't ask for nothing, right?
Yeah, I think all our moms.
Exactly. It's like, it's all right. Like, can I have it? No. Can I have it? No. Can I have it? No, right? My kids are resilient. They keep saying it over and over and over and over and wear the parents down. My kids do it today, right? But as you're a kid, you don't understand the word no. You don't just think the next one. The next time I ask, guess what? I'm gonna get it, right? Not right now. But as we get older, right, and we become adults and adolescents, we start to interpret no as in something negative, as in something bad. We just get just want to crawl up in a little corner and just stay there, right? But the business owners, right, the entrepreneurs, everybody that makes this country tick, they have a different connotation to the word no. Does it make sense? If you look at any successful person, business owners especially, you see that they come from various backgrounds where they have started this, they started that, they started this, they started that, and all those things that they started didn't necessarily work out the way they anticipated. Make sense? And so when the bank told them no on the first loan, they went back again to the third bank or fourth bank. You hear these different stories, right? Yep. And now what if they would have said, what if they would have just said, what? After the first bank said no, they just shut it down, right? What is Facebook got? Mark Zuckerberg, right? Mm-hmm. What if the people he introduced the concept to first, said no, and he just said, well, I guess it's not a great idea.
Or some of them did say no, and they
absolutely did, right?
They pissed.
Exactly. And so you just as a person who's going to really understand the difference between, and I don't like to say winners or losers, but people who achieve greatness and you have the average and ordinary people that stay comfortable, right? So the comfortable people, who focus more so on this aspect, that's going to be about, statistics say right now it's about 90% of people in the country, 90%, right? So, right now in America, it's about 340 million people, right? 11% of those, so we could say 89%, right? Excuse me, right? 11% of those earn a six-figure income, right? Now, six figures is what it used to be, but it's still at more than what the average American makes, full time. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, when you look at that number, right, you got to understand that a lot of these may be corporate. Some of these may be corporate jobs, of course, but a lot of these are going to be, just people doing something different. That makes sense than the traditional 9 to 5, right? And so, when you think about sales positions, right? People say I don't like selling, right? People say, anybody ever heard that familiar? People say I don't like selling, right? But everybody's a salesperson, right? When you go into a job interview, what do you have to do to the other person on the other end of the counter?
Sell yourself.
You got to sell yourself. It just comes in the form of a piece of paper. They review it. They ask questions, and guess what? You live all the stuff that you got down on the paper until you can get to the position So you're into selling whether or not you know it. If you have children, what do you have to do? You got to sell them on why they should go to bed on time. You got to sell them why they should get up in the morning and go to school. You got to sell. So we're natural salespeople, right? And so bringing that all in perspective, I want you to understand some of these skill sets you already possess and already developed, right? And when we're talking about leverage, we're talking about leverage because when you understand that, some of these skill sets I already possess and I have the ability to just share, right? Share a concept or an opportunity or something that can be beneficial, right, to somebody else. What now starts to happen, I put myself in another quadrant. Some of the those income opportunities or those tax break opportunities that Mr. JP Cash was talking about earlier, right? He talked about over 400 tax deductions, right? He has available to him. Why? It's not because he's in the E quadrant, right? It's not because he's here, right? It's because he's here, okay? It's because he's here, right? And so if you're ever going to achieve anything great, right, financially, it's because you're going to start to develop a different mindset or mentality beyond leverage, right? You're gonna start to raise this comfort zone, right, to a bigger circle, okay? And so let's talk about this real quick. I won't be too long with it as I already am. But when we talk about leverage, right? You talk about business owners, right? We just put an I in front of this for independent business owners, right? Now, the independent business owner, I always like to go back to where I started. I first heard this information. It was referenced like McDonald's, right? Anybody know what business McDonald's is in? Most people think McDonald's is in the burgers and fries.
It's in the real estate business.
McDonald's is in real estate. Y'all took this class before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So McDonald's, they're in the real estate business, right?
Yep.
And why are they in the real estate business? Because if you go down any major highway, any major street, any major, area, right? They're there. They're on the Midlothian Turnpike. They're on, wherever it is that's a major highway, major street, major location. That's where they are, right? Mm-hmm. And so, in addition to that, guess what? When a person, decides they want to invest in McDonald's, right? They don't pick the location. Nope. McDonald's already has that out, right? McDonald's already understands the business model, the concept. They say, you know what? We got prime real estate already here because we understand wherever we pick, that's where we want, right? That's the property value is going to go up. So McDonald's is a real estate business, right? And so when a person gets to McDonald's, right? This is McDonald's Corporation, right? McDonald's Corporation, or you can say U Inc., right? Mm-hmm. And so what they do, they set up all these little McDonald's around the world, right? And so you want to adopt the same philosophy that McDonald's has. So there's a little McDonald's here, a little McDonald's here, a little McDonald's here, right? Mm-hmm. And so what happens is, as McDonald's expands, from other people, who want to earn a significant amount of income, right? McDonald's now starts to take a little bit, right? So let's just say, this franchise here, they make 100%, right? Well, because they're using McDonald's name, they're using McDonald's brand, right? McDonald's says, guess what? Out of that 100, you got to give us 5% back, right? I think that's a good deal.
That's a good deal.
You make 100 out of the 100, you get 95. McDonald's get 5%, mm-hmm. Right?
That's a good deal.
Yep. What work did McDonald's do?
No.
McDonald's didn't do anything, right?
Let you use my name.
Exactly. They didn't do anything, but they let you use, the system that they already have in place, right? Now, of course, you can't go in there creating, the Travis burger with rib sauce on the side and extra lettuce. No, you can't. It's got to be special onion sauce. Whatever it is. On a sesame seed bun, right? All right. So
no McDonald's.
No, none of that. Exactly, right? Shake machine on the left. Fry machine on the right, or however they have it, right? So now I'm showing you this because I'm going somewhere here. Now this is leverage because McDonald's didn't exhaust any efforts whatsoever. So this is you because in America we actually have the ability to create leverage for ourselves, right? Through this industry called networking, right? Or network marketing, home-based business, for short. So if you have the ability to actually do this part-time, spare time, or any time, right? And so sometimes people say, well, I don't want to do that. I don't like talking to people. Well, you got to talk to somebody, right? Somebody says, I'm not a people person. Anybody heard that before?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of person are you if you're not a people person, right? People are people, right? You got to interact with people. So I think it's just really a misconception behind it. But here's where it really kind of gets exciting, because what happens now, and not through McDonald's in this example, but in the industry, we actually get to do something like this here, right? So we actually get to expand more so than what a traditional franchise actually gets to do, right? So now if you're in McDonald's Corporation or you own a McDonald's, you don't actually have the ability to license out other McDonald's, right? You're just a franchisee, right? McDonald's is the boss. But us, in this industry, what we actually have the ability to do, we actually have the ability to extend ourselves beyond just, the people that we refer. Does it make sense? Mm-hmm. And so as a result of that, income starts to come all the way back up again without the energy and efforts of us. Does that make sense?
Right. So, for example, in this sense, my immediate 3 has actually gave me 5%.
Right.
But of their 3, what's probably happening is that they're keeping 95%.
Right.
The people they enrolled got 3, and I still get 2%. And
you still get 2%. And I'm sorry I didn't show that example in the example, but absolutely, right? And so I wanted to show that because what happens is, a lot of times people don't understand, the mentality or the whole process behind networking or leverage, right? Leverage is amazing. If you don't understand something, you want to seek to understand it, especially if it's going to be valuable for you. Make sense? Mm-hmm. And so, that's all I have on leverage. So hopefully that was helpful. I didn't put any specific numbers. Did you guys want me to put any specific numbers?
Nah.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Cool. So we about to shut this down real quick for everybody watching live. I mean, we still got a few minutes here. It's about to get real intense. So if you're not live, you're gonna miss out. But I just want to say I appreciate everybody who's here tuning in. If you got questions, reach out to the person that invited you here. See everybody at the top, because the bottom, y'all, that's way too crowded right now.